Hello, everyone. World Combat Sports here. Want to continue talking about this fight week. This fight right here coming up on Top Rank is a sleeper. We have Jess Hart and Joe Smith Jr. Pretty personal between these two. I know a lot of people are not talking about it, but it's going to be a pretty solid fight. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna dive right into it. For this bout light heavyweight division. Both of them have their own backstory as to why they want to fight one another. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to check this out. We're going to talk about Jess Hart, Jess Hollywood Hart. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's dropping in, salute to you. Be sure to smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time. I truly appreciate it. In between fights, you know what it is, man. I have to get on here and keep y'all updated with the newest, the freshest of boxing and MMA. Tonight is going to be strictly boxing, though. It's going to be strictly boxing. I'm going to kick this off talking about the Top Rank card, of course. So let me start this off by giving you a little prelim as to what is taking place between this bout. January 11th, Hart and Smith. They'll be a part of a two-fight telecast on ESPN. Light heavyweight division. Some big punches. The bulletin that was put out on them, they would go toe-to-toe battle in a 10-round fight Saturday evening, ESPN. I'm definitely going to be attempting to do a live commentary on the Carissa Shields and Ivana Hasbazin fight, and also Jess Hart and Joe Smith Jr. So I'm definitely going to try to get that out to you all doing live commentary this fight week. Now, there's an interesting backstory between these two. If you didn't already know, I'm about to break this down for you when it comes to Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. is sitting at 24 wins, 3 defeats with 20 knockouts, right? His last loss came from one of the top contenders in the light heavyweight division, Demetrius Bivol. He lost via unanimous decision. Before that, he had a loss with Sullivan Barrera, and then early in his career, he lost to Eddie Caminero, and that's been back in 2010. But the more recent losses, man, has been Sullivan Barrera and Dimitri Bivol, one of his biggest fight of his career. And that was in March of 2019. So he took some time off. He returned, January 11, 2020, he shall return and fight in a light heavyweight contest against Jess Hart at the Hard Rock Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. It's a top rank affair. Once again, it's a top rank affair, y'all. And, not to mention he's an orthodox fighter, 30 years old. You know what I'm saying? So he's still at his competitive edge, 6 feet tall, been fighting since 2009. Now for Jess Hart, he's 26 victories, 2 defeats, 21 knockouts. Light heavyweight orthodox, age 30. So, you have mirror ages of these two light heavyweights. A little bit of advantage on Jess Hart. He's 6'3". Not that much of a difference when you actually know what you're doing and know how to fight or box a taller fighter. Really, it comes down to reach and skill set anyway. But anyway, he only has 2 defeats. And check this out. His 2 defeats came from one of the top ranking super middleweights at the time, Gilberto Ramirez. Now, you already know Gilberto. He's 40 and 0. He is absolutely no joke. He's been flying under the radar ever since he moved up to light heavyweight. And it's only a matter of time before you see him um, have a big fight. Um, the reason why he's not being promoted as much, or they're not sounding off too much about this guy, I don't know. But he's 40 and 0 with some like 27 knockouts, I believe. But for Jess Hart, I never sit up here and tell a fighter to praise themselves for who they lose to, but he lost to a pretty solid top tier opposition in the super middleweight division. I know a loss is a loss, and he has two against the same guy. He originally fought Gilberto back in 2017, and then he fought him again December 2018. The first one was unanimous decision loss, and the second was majority decision loss. So heading to this fight with Joe Smith, our man Jess Hart pretty much said that he didn't like how Joe Smith Jr. stopped his big bro Bernard Hopkins. If you remember how that went down, you know what I'm saying? He stopped Bernard Hopkins. So I guess ever since then, the fight actually took place in 2016, and then it's 2020. So I pretty much believe, without being a psychologist, an unlicensed psychologist, but I do have some type of, education. I did take some college classes on it. But for what I understand is that ever since then, he's been wanting that get back to defend the honor of his big brother, Bernard Hopkins. And I guess tonight is the night. They say it's personal, and we shall see how personal it truly is. But Joe Smith have a totally different outlook on this fight. He really want a title shot. You know what I'm saying? His main focus is getting through Jess Hart, who's 26 and 2, and Joe Smith is 24 and 3. Just one more loss and a smidget behind in experience. Jess Hart has one more knockout, I believe, than Joe Smith. Anyways, it's really not going to matter when it comes down to it, because both have pretty solid win streaks with knockouts attached to them. So that's going to be solid when they hook up in the ring this weekend and settle the score. Now, when you go in there trying to defend a legend like Bernard Hopkins, we're talking about a guy with over 60 bouts, just because he was stopped late in his career. I mean, really, what is the point of doing that again? I mean, you should be motivated. This has been 2016. Jess Hart, you know what I'm saying? Jesse Hart. 2016 that he lost to Joe Smith. It's been a long time. I'm not sure why you feel the need to think you need to defend his honor or whatever. But it's a little bit of humor to go around to it. You say it's personal. Walking in here, something to give you extra motivation. I get it, bro. So many freaking fighters have their own tool for motivation to energize them to step into the ring. Then if that's yours, then it's all good, man. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But this is going to be in the light heavyweight division, and the solid thing about it is it's not on PPV. Hey, y'all hold on for a second. Yeah, I'm back. It's not on PPV. It's on regular TV. And I think as far as, matching up the male boxing side of the house to the female side of the house, I think they're equally interesting, with Shields and Habashin on one side, and then you have Hart and Smith. Of course, you have some undercard fights. You got Jerome Ennis going up against Yubov. on the undercard of Shields and Habashin. So yeah, definitely look out for that. But on the top ranked side of the house, I think the light heavyweight fight between these two is going to be competitive. It should be. It should be nothing short of competitive. So I'm really looking forward to it myself. To kind of see who takes the next step. Both of these fighters has lost to the top tier names besides Jess Hart. Jess Hart hasn't really lost to anybody in the light heavyweight division. You know what I'm saying? He fought Gilberto Ramirez when he was still at super middleweight. Now, for Joe Smith, that's a whole different story because, like I said, he fought Demetrius Bivol, and we all know how good Bivol is right now. And that's not nothing to hold your head in, hold your head down with a loss like that because he is a top tier um, champion in the light heavyweight division. Now he's facing someone like Jesse Hart, however you want to say it. He should have that light heavyweight experience, so to speak. You know, being in there with a champ like Bivol. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it shouldn't be too much of a filling out process between these two, to be honest. I'm just keeping it 100. I don't think it's going to be um, a lackluster start to this fight with these two, especially if they're trying to give us impression that it's personal. If it's personal, then it's personal outside of it's really being personal, if you know what I mean. Because the only reason it's a little bit personal for Jesse Hart is the fact that he's trying to defend Bernard Hopkins, who made it a living. You know, that was his livelihood in the ring. And he just fought a little bit past his competitive edge when he took that loss. I mean, we're talking about the same Bernard Hopkins who at 46 years old was able to go in there and make history. So being that he met the wall and he was stopped, that's not anything to have somebody to say to your opponent is personal because you have a history with Bernard Hopkins and you're the one that stopped him. You know, all y'all in the same business, the hurt business. So for you to go up here and say, well, I got a problem with it because he stopped my big brother Bernard Hopkins, so I got to go in there and defend his honor. If you say that, if you're going in there to defend the honor of a legend like B-Hop, you better do it well. You better do it famously, and you better do it to the point where it's memorable so people can talk about it in the right way. I'm just saying, because Joe Smith don't seem like he's going to be the one for you to do that with. He's a very tough fighter, man. He's a very tough fighter. But I have to give Jesse Hart the same thing. He's a tough fighter too. So it's all about who has the better game plan, strategy to go ahead and get this victory to move on to bigger and better fights. Of course, both of them want that title shot. You know what I'm saying? Dimitri Bivol is the WBA champion. And you got Beterbiev. He's the WBC and the IBF over there at light heavyweight. And it's only a matter of time before Gilberto Ramirez is the champion over at the WBO. And from my understanding, he was the WBO champion at super middleweight. So that's how that scale is stacking up in that division in the light heavyweight class. For those of you in the building, smash that like button. WCS in the building. Appreciate all y'all support. Pass the word. Subscribe. Follow me on IG. That's the two fights that's going to be on, and I'll be doing live commentary with Jess Hart and Joe Smith. And like I said earlier, their records are close. Joe Smith is 24 victories, 3 defeats, and 20 knockouts. And then for Jess Hart, he's sitting at 26-2 with 21 knockouts. Both of them are orthodox. Jess Hart is from Philly, representing Philly. You know what I mean? And then, Joe Smith, He's hailing out of Long Island, New York. So we got some neighbors that's about to go in here and lock up and see who has bragging rights. You know what I'm saying? Knockout percentage for freaking Joe Smith is 74%. You know, Jess Hart is 75%. And does it really matter? No, I'm just giving you a little itemization of the layout here. Both light heavyweights, orthodox style, a little height disparity, 6 feet to 6'3", one out of Philly and the other one out of Long Island. You know, CatchWeight media in the building. So let me move on. I want to talk a little bit about the fight that's coming up and what's been going on with the media briefly. I didn't really put it in my description, but I want to talk about briefly what's been going on with, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. just slightly, because it's been stepped on so much in the media that I don't even like to talk about it when it is being stepped on so much, and people continue to retread it over and over again and recycle the same information. So, I read an article how they made it seem like that a deal was close to being done. It's nothing out there saying that a deal is close to being done just because Crawford saying, okay, Errol Spence is a cool dude. He's cool as shit, whatever he want to say. And then he put it out there as if we definitely going to fight. Now, that's good just to calm the waters a little bit and appease us boxing fans, but no way, no how. We being fooled out here as boxing fans that this fight is going to happen as the first fight Errol Spence is going to take on his way back to the ring after that horrific car accident. It ain't no way you can explain that. The man don't even try it, man. Don't even try to sit up here and convince me that Errol Spence is going to take on Terrence Crawford in his first fight back. I don't think it's happening. I'm not going to sit up here and advocate as if it's going to happen. So we'll just leave it as if they may fight in 2020. Hopefully. In between time, Terrence Crawford has to fight somebody, of course. And then we have no idea as to who Spence Jr. is going to fight once he returns. I did see Kell Brook lurking around out here, in front of the lens. And he said, hey, I would definitely like to, because Kell Brook has been trying to get his name out there with a big fighter. I mean, he really fell off since he lost his title. I mean, no one really was taking consideration of Kell Brook. But Brook did give Spence a pretty solid run to defend that title. He came up short. The fight was stopped. A lot of people were saying that it was residual effect, the damage done by Gennady Golovkin. But Gennady damaged the right cranial placement of freaking Kell Brook. Errol Spence damaged the left side. You know what I'm saying? So people were still saying fragment-wise, he was damaged when he went into the Errol Spence fight. And I don't agree with that. I really don't agree with it because, the left and right hemisphere, they operate as a whole. He had to, Kell Brook was able to clear medicals. So his left and right hemisphere was working just fine. He didn't come into the fight with swelling on the left side that Spence was able to damage. He came in there with the history with Gennady Golovkin. The history was, it was a very tough fight with him moving up, and he got smashed for it. So he came back down, healed, swelling, subsided, whatever you want to call it. He stepped in there with Errol Spence. Errol Spence came over to his backyard. And that made me an even bigger fan of Errol Spence to go do that. To go over in the man's backyard with a smile on his face like he was freaking licking his chops, salivating at the process of him walking to the ring in somebody's backyard. I mean, I like that. I like that. I respect that about Errol Spence. Different type of breed of fighter that isn't really, walking to the ring nervous, acting like he's full of anxiety. He's unsure, optimistic. No, he got a smile on his face like, yeah, we about to get it in. I'm going for my title shot. I'm straight. I'm good. And that won over a lot of fans for Errol Spence Jr. You know, the unfortunate part about boxing, when you do something good, you got to turn around and keep doing something good enough for them to consider you great. That's what you have to do. People don't understand how precious that was to go over there and win a title in the backyard. Of course, the way we have seen outside of our comfort zone over here in the United States, sometimes the way the decisions can go. But he didn't leave it in the hand of the judges. He stopped Kell Brook. You know what I'm saying? So now Kell Brook wants that get back. More so because he need his name back out there. He need that check. He need to become relevant again. And I think it's a good matchup for Spence right around coming back from a car accident. Seriously, I don't think Kell Brook is any different than he was the first time around. I think Errol Spence may have improved. Seriously, he has improved since that fight with Kell Brook. So whether they make that fight, I don't know. But looking at the scales, you know what I'm saying, as far as opponents for Errol Spence, who has already made this declaration that he is not taking a soft touch once he returns, then you know the only thing we can imagine is he's not fighting Sean Porter. It ain't gonna be Danny Garcia. Yordenis Ugas. It's not a big enough name. I'm not saying he's not a quality opponent. He's just not a big enough name for somebody who's a unified champion like Errol Spence, WBC, and the IBF champion. You know, like I'll tell a lot of people, y'all, I like Sergey Lipinets. The way he links up with the fighting style of Errol Spence Jr. I do. You know, some people say Virgil Hill is out there, but I like Sergey Lipinets. Very, very tough fighter. You know, he fought Mikey Garcia at 140, man, lost his title. Now he's up at 147. He's on the clock. It's only a matter of time before we see Sergey Lipinets in a pretty decent fight with a top name. It's only a matter of time. You know, we already heard that Mikey Garcia is out here trying to fight, trying to come up with a fight that's not overboard. He's not oversized, outsized in the ring. You know, still trying to build up his respect and his presence over here at the 147-pound division. You know, he's trying to become a 5th division champion. And it's going to be tough for him to do, but he may be able to. You know why? Because he's ranked pretty high in the WBA. So we'll see what's up. We will absolutely see what is going on with that. What do y'all think about, Maurice Hooker moving up? What do y'all think about that? Do you think Maurice Hooker has what it takes to make a title run anytime soon? Will a Maurice Hooker get past an Amir Khan? You know what I'm saying? Virgil Ortiz, Josecito Lopez. Do you see him getting past those individuals? Because he's ranked in the WBC already, right at the back door, number 10. That's Maurice Hooker. You know, came off that loss with Ramirez, was stopped. Then he decided to move up. So I'm curious to see how Maurice Hooker look in this new division, man. I know he already had one fight, but I'm just saying, like, when he started to gradually bleed over into some of the bigger names, I'm curious to see what he's gonna do, man. How that chin gonna hold up. That doesn't negate that he's not a quality fighter. I like the way Maurice Hooker delegates his skill set in the ring. I do. I like his boxing prowess. So got mad respect for him, how he goes in there and box. But in the 147-pound division, it has a lot of gates open, man, for some fighters to just waiting their time. You know what I'm saying? They're waiting for the Danny Garcias, Sean Porters, and your Denis Ugas. Ugas. He's another guy that's gonna be in the picture sooner or later, probably with a big fight. Seriously. You know, he's ranked in the WBC, WBA. So he's going to be stepping up to the plate sooner or later. He had his opportunity with Sean Porter, and the fight was less. It was underwhelming. You know what I'm saying? For the buildup, and the way I look back at it, and what I did then, I was like, Sean Porter just had that fight plan, not to really go all out, get injured. He just went in there and did what he had to do so he can go for the next big fight, and that's what I believe happened. Seriously, that's exactly what happened. Because we all saw the dog come out of Sean Porter. Anyway, back to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, man. Whether they fight in 2020 is yet to be seen. But at least there's HOPE. HOPE. There's hope that these two will clash sooner or later. There is hope. And we just don't want that hope to add an ing to it as 2020 expires and we're talking about 2021. Really, we don't want that to happen. Real talk. We don't want all this back and forth on Twitter, you know, the rattling the cages of freaking social media, getting everybody turned up, tuned in, people gazing, making video after video about all this. And then and then all of it just sizzles away and the energy subsides, evaporates, and we don't hear anything else about it except little sparks here and there. I'm telling everybody, like, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., man, is gonna do solid once it does hit the big screen. It's gonna be absolutely a phenomenal fight. We got a switch hit in Terrence Crawford. We have a southpaw in Errol Spence. Is just tenacious. It's gonna be a beast. I really hope it gets made sometime soon so we can just calm the addiction and thinking about it all the time. Every time the mic comes on, it reds. We go hot, and we want to talk about certain fights, and people keep mentioning, well, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, will it ever happen? Will it become a Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather? Will we ever see it happen? I think it will. I think it happened while both are where they at in life. And I have faith it will. I sure do. I have faith it will happen. What I am looking forward to, of course, is a February 22nd fight, and I want to get on my man Dillian White. I want to talk about what's been going on with the media with him wanting to use that coward word so much, that C word. Dillian White, man, this is what I can't understand about Dillian White. He's been, the mandatory for the WBC, right? And then he isn't the mandatory. Dominique Brazil got the bout with Deontay Wilder and not Dillian White. And then we all know Dillian White took some fights in between that, and he didn't look that impressive. You know what I'm saying? He took some fights where he was looking sloppy. Yeah, he stalked Derek Chisora, but he looked sloppy in that fight. And I know it's a heavyweight division, and they're gonna look sloppy. But if you're talking about stepping up and fighting two of the best that's in the division, because you already been knocked out by Anthony Joshua in 7, right? If you're talking about fighting two of the best in the heavyweight division, in Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, you just can't have the game plan like you mentioned. I'm going to rush him because I believe I can stop him, and if I get chinned, so be it. That's like the dumbest thing ever. It is. It's like the dumbest shit. Like, who says that? If you're waiting all this time and your brother's going in there, getting in front of the camera as if you're a saint, and then you was anointed by the UK gods in idolatry, the pantheon of boxing, and he was saying that, well, when Deontay Wilder was over there, we froze him up because basically Deontay was talking all that smack about Dillian White. So when he was over here in the UK, we was like, what's up? He knew what it was. But how can you say that when every time you turn around, you all are bloviating insults and obscenities as if they're nothing? Like, y'all say those words, y'all using those words as if they're minimal. When you call somebody a coward, I know over here it means something. The depth of it, the piercing part of the vernacular, it means something. But y'all be calling people bums. You be calling them pussies. You be calling them anything in the book as if it's nothing. Y'all be using the cunt word, everything. But you're going to get over here and talk about Deontay Wilder and keep saying he's a coward. And the belt he has is not the real belt, but the one you have is the real belt. You're the true champion. And the only person that probably believes what you're talking about right now is you, Dillian White. Because ain't nobody else really paying attention to. I mean, look, to be honest, I really and truly want Dillian White to step in there with Deontay Wilder. Seriously. But right now, victories, 0 defeats, and 41 knockouts, right? Dillian White's record is 27-1. Of course, his only loss is Anthony Joshua. So he has a respectable record. Alias is the body snatcher. All right. But check this out. Just check out what he's been going through. Okay. He was able to go in there and stop Lucas Brown. But we all saw how that happened, how that fight played out. And then it was a very quick turnaround for Joseph Parker after he lost to Anthony Joshua. Joseph Parker and Dillian White look suspect. Like, the fight was sloppy. It really wasn't competitive, especially for Joseph Parker turning around in such a quick period of time after losing his WBO title. It just didn't make any sense, man. I don't know if he was just cashing in or what, but it sucked. That shit sucked all to be damned. And then we saw what happened to Derek Chisora. You know what I'm saying? He was able to stop Derek Chisora. You know what I'm saying? He stopped him in the 11th round, but he was getting worked at points of the fight. He was absolutely getting worked. And Derek Chisora has 8 defeats. More so because him and Dillian White has the same mentality. It's just Dillian White is able to, he has sustainable durability. That's what I can say about Dillian White to a point with his competition. And then Oscar Rivas, we all know about the freaking glove gate, all this other crap that went on. If that was no, he looked like crap against Oscar Rivas. And then the other fight, it was almost like he went to a unanimous decision against a fighter in watch that we don't know too much about in the heavyweight division. We don't know too much about his last opponent. But I guess when you just lingering around in limbo, you got to find somebody to fight. That's real talk. Let's look at where Dillian White is ranked. Dillian White is ranked number 1 in the WBC, of course. Of course. He's been around that playground for the longest of time, getting no attention. It's almost like him being there, the only one on the swing set. Period. So you look across everywhere else. I'm trying to find out. Watch. I don't even see him in the top 15. You know what I'm saying? So the saving grace for Dillian White is the WBC, for him to potentially hopefully sometime in the near future, step in there with the WBC king Deontay Wilder. But his last two fights have went to a UD. Seriously. Watch, I believe, he might be in the top 25, something like that. He might be somewhere down there. But, unfortunately for the rankings, they stop at 15. That's being nice. You know what I'm saying? I'll send a freaking search party out and see where this guy's at. Hopefully I can get an interview. He can kind of, take us through the opening bell to the final tick of the frame and, losing the unanimous decision to Dillian White. But the point of the fact is the way Dillian White goes about, calling Deontay Wilder a coward. Many people can make speculation about what's going on. Why Dominique Brazil got the fight, even though they had a history together, and not Dillian White. And then a lot of us, including myself, will appreciate it if Dillian White would have fought Luis Ortiz. I believe when those two kind of linked up together, it was almost like Dillian White was throwing a fit about potentially facing Luis Ortiz, because that's a tough fight for him. Seriously, Luis King Kong Ortiz is a tough fight for Dillian White. I just really wish it can happen because, Luis Ortiz is ranked 5th in the WBC behind the Oscar Rivas, Alexander Usyk, and Tyson Fury. All right. So it'll be very tough for Luis Ortiz to fight his way up through those individuals. I mean, he's not getting Tyson Fury because Deontay Wilder is going to be facing him 22nd February. But it'd be good after this next, sometime in 2020 that we're able to see Dillian White and Luis Ortiz. Not too much. I don't want to see Oscar Rivas no time soon. Usyk is floating around. They trying to set up a fight potentially with him and Anthony Joshua. But they have him in the shoot, lined up for the WBC rankings, WBA rankings, and the WBO. So he's in 3 of the major sanctioning bodies to make his run at picking up a heavyweight title. He's a former cruiserweight champion, former unified, undisputed cruiserweight champion. So now he's up in the heavyweight division, and he's waiting for his shot. The only thing about it is, from what I know, Deontay Wilder has a rematch clause in there with Tyson Fury, so the obligation is set in stone. So between then, we'll see how it all plays out with Alexander Usyk going in there against Anthony Joshua, if that's the case. And then, we heard Kubrat Pulev. He should be facing as a mandatory for Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz, in my opinion, isn't done. He isn't done. But it'd be good to see him jump back in there against somebody like, Pulev, Adam Konoski, something like that. And then in the WBA, a sleeper is Trevor Bryant. He's a freaking sleeper. So the whole heavyweight division, man, I know it has some primary names that we love to talk about. We love talking about the top 3. The Anthony Joshua's, Deontay Wilder, and Dillian White. We love talking about that. And why not? I mean, especially Anthony Joshua, he's a unified champion now. And apart from the biggest fight of 2020, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, we also have, Anthony Joshua just lingering out there, verbally sparring over social media, just like freaking Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence was doing, as if he really wants to truly fight Deontay Wilder now. Any other time it was a restraining order. We don't want him in the building. We don't want to hear none of that. We don't want him nowhere in the proximity where we can actually put a visual on him. But all of a sudden, that's the fight he chose to make. The same crap he was talking in 2018. A year has passed by, and we're no closer to Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearns actually being sensible enough. They still, after the fight, before the fight, he was talking about it's a 50-50 fight. You know what I'm saying? And then after Anthony Joshua got the belts back, he was like, who the F is Deontay Wilder? Who is this? Who is that? He was trying to downplay it and dilute the name. You can't dilute the name. A man that has sat down all his opponents, you can't continue to deny this man anything. You know what I'm saying? You can talk on the media all day long, but really the mainstreamers, the purists, truly understand. They truly understand the nonsense of the gumbo that Eddie Hearns loved to talk about. Just because you stir it different doesn't mean anything. Martin, what's good? Salute, man. I really don't know. Okay, I happen to see the Spencer Bud. That's a tough one, man. He has who do I have winning Spencer Bud. I've always been a Earl Spence fan. But like I said, with media, you have to call it. I always been pretty straight with calling who I believe is gonna win. I'm very bad with predictions. I just go off performances. You know what I'm saying? And the edge, in my opinion, off the last performance of both fighters, I truly have to kind of look at it. Just a slight edge with Errol Spence. A slight edge because Errol Spence, during the eye of the storm, he shows tremendous amount of focus. Very tough, gritty fighter, hard-nosed fighter. Errol Spence is a hard-nosed fighter. Like, in order for you to gain his respect, like I say many times before, you really got to lay something on him that he hasn't felt before. Something to make him squint. Something to make him take a deep breath. Can Terrence Crawford do that? I'm not absolutely sure 100% that he can give him something he ain't never felt before. I know he can probably give him different looks. But to be honest, most of the fighters that Errol Spence has faced, it really hasn't been anyone to just overwhelm him and able to land the same shots over and over again on Errol Spence. Not like he was fighting Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson reminded me of Winky Wright. Like no one has made Errol Spence just get a high guard and just take punishment in order to figure out what he has to deal with in front of him. We all know Terrence Crawford can fight both stands. He can switch stands. He can go orthodox to southpaw, right? But does he have enough power to earn the respect of Errol Spence? Because deep down inside, this is for supremacy. This is for welterweight supremacy. And my edging favor is towards Errol Spence leading into that fight. The reason why I'm saying that, obviously, Terrence Crawford coming off his last fight with Mean Machine. I'm about to say Green Machine with Mean Machine. And then you look at it in perspective that what happened in the third round. So I got to also play that in reference to when have I seen Errol Spence take that adversity? When have we seen Errol Spence face that adversity? You can't say it was when he fought Carol Brook. He was in a tough fight, a back and forth exchange, duel. I mean, they was both landing their entire cachet of weapons. And neither man was using a lot of defense, to be honest. That's the one thing about Errol Spence. I guess he's been working on his defense, but I know to the fights leading up to it, he can be hit. But he looked pretty good against Sean Porter, but it was some times that Sean Porter was able to land some solid shots on Errol Spence. I think that's where Terrence Crawford will prevail, being that I like how technically inclined Terrence Crawford boxes. Terrence Crawford is in my opinion, the most athletic welterweight in the division. I'm talking about all around as far as athleticism. I do. I believe he's the most athletic welterweight in the division. But when it comes to facing someone who has equal desire, equal tenaciousness, he's just a ferocious individual. Both of them have that dog in them. Both of them have that street in them. Both of them will close the distance when they need to and land shots. It's just gonna be all about who's gonna start to break down quicker. Who's gonna start to falter? Who's gonna start to wither under the pressure? Because somebody's going to. Believe it or not, even in the Sean Porter Errol Spence fight, there were situations that was taking place. But Sean Porter is who he is. We know he had a good gas tank, and we know Errol Spence has presented a good gas tank. So far, we've seen Terrence Crawford, but I've seen Errol Spence in there with some individuals that I would consider better competition than Terrence Crawford has faced, and he still had a decent gas tank. Only fight I have to say is freaking Sean Porter right now, because he washed Mikey Garcia. Period. Sean Porter was a dog. We knew he was a dog. He came in there with that spirited freaking, just vicious, straightforward action, pressuring freaking Errol Spence, turning them out the corner at will. He just has a level beneath the technical ability of Errol Spence Jr., unfortunately for Sean Porter. And that's exactly, in the wild exchanges, he was caught with that left hook. So I have to lean towards Spence. It doesn't matter how people feel about it. That's my take on it. When the fight is going to happen, we have no idea. But I still see people out here comparing welterweight resumes to one another. They pretty much want to shred freaking Joseph Benavidez like he was nothing. Joseph Benavidez with one leg did very well against a fighter that was healthy on two. And as athletic as Terrence Crawford was, he did very well. And then they shred him for the Jeff Horn, but Jeff Horn was a champion when he came over here to the welterweight division. Crawford's first fight was for a championship. He went in there and did what he had to do. It didn't go to the distance. He stopped him. That's exactly what he was supposed to do. It's too many damn segues out here. It's just once one fighter get criticized, everybody criticized that fighter. Everybody just want to criticize him because it's a good topic of discussion. Every freaking description that goes up, a title for the live feed, people want to dog out the same opponent. So that it was time for them to put Terrence Crawford up on the cross and nail his hands and allow him to be crucified for a freaking week or two. You know what I'm saying? I really don't care. I'm not the one to sit up here and have to see these boxers all the time. I understand the game. Like I truly get it. Why boxers can care less for media. I get it. I understand. But the reason for people to just jump on the bandwagon and say, well, we're gonna compare welterweight resumes. Who has Terrence Crawford fought? Who has? So you're trying to just say we're just gonna erase a freaking 3-division champion as nothing. We're gonna erase what he did to Julio Sindongo. We're just gonna erase him coming to the welterweight division for a title shot against someone that people was having high praise for when he defeated Manny Pacquiao. I really don't care. People could say that Manny Pacquiao really win. He didn't win that night. Jeff Horn did. He roughed Manny up, tired him out, fatigued him, put that pressure on him, and he was able to get the victory. But when Crawford stepped over here to the welterweight division, he did what he had to do. Yeah, it's no need to really even talk about it like that all the time. He did what he had to do. He stopped the man. If he would have went the distance with Jeff Horn, then it would have been much more validity and merit to the criticism that's going on. But that's not what I do, man. I don't follow the freaking whoever walking up in front. I got to find out, I got to understand the substance for which they up there. Like, why are you up in the front? Why are you trying to say you're the leader or something? I have to understand, how did you get that position? Not just because it's a label or title. I just need to understand what were the protocol and requirements. I didn't say I was in line. I'm just saying, for these individuals to say they're the leaders of this, that, and the other. But I don't know. Like I tell a lot of people about Errol Spence's resume, no one starts off with Lamont Peterson. Of course, we got to get Kell Brook and Sean Porter the nod. That's who we have to get the nod to. Kell Brook was a championship fight. Sean Porter was a championship fight. Mikey Garcia, it was his first fight up in here and took his first loss. He will wait. So we can't put him, just because he's a 4 division champion, as being one of Errol Spence's best opponents, because Errol Spence dominated that fight. Nobody else is in the topic of discussion. But with those two names, all right, you transfer you transfer them over to Terrence Crawford, and they still supersedes a resume that's short because the man just showed up to the division. You know what I'm saying? He just got here. Why is it so hard for people to understand that, man? The man just got to the damn division. He came here June of 2018, won a title, and he's defended it 3 times. Joseph Benavidez, right? Amir Khan stoppage and Kavalauskas stoppage, TKO. Now you compare them to Kell Brook and Sean Porter, there's none. There's no comparison. In my opinion, there's no comparison. So when it comes to resumes, for the outlets that's out here that keep on comparing resumes in the welterweight division, Errol Spence, I believe his 4th fight, he moved back down to welterweight. He was at freaking super welterweight. He moved down to welterweight. He's campaigned that for freaking what? 97% of his career. So if you take Errol Spence's resume of the top tier opponents once he began to get in title contention and win his first title to that of Terrence Bud Crawford, it's just a minimal disparity. If Amir Khan didn't get slept the way he did, then he would be a notable name. If he took a little bit, a couple of those losses off his record, people would respect it more. Joseph Benavidez, look, when he fought freaking Terrence Crawford, he was 27-0. That shit all the way around the board is respectable. Benavidez 27-0 when he fought Terrence Crawford, and Terrence ended up closing the show. All right, even though it took him 12 rounds to knock him out, I can do this. I can give respect where respect is due. When they were saying, well, Terrence Crawford is criticizing Gervonta Davis for stopping Yurkis Gamboa in 12. But then I don't think he have a case. I know it's 2 different divisions, but I'm saying that Joseph Benavidez had been shot in one of his legs multiple times. So really, he wasn't a full-fledged, healthy fighter that was mobile on both of his limbs. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to that, it was kind of crazy for him to go at Gervonta like that, stopping Yurkis Gamboa just because they had a little history together. But Benavidez Jr., the man was stationary. He wasn't even a mobile target, but his hands, I guess, was lethal enough for Terrence Crawford to respect it in a sense. He had enough power and boxing know-how to put a little bit of optimism. Because I'm gonna tell you this, I didn't really see Terrence Crawford charging that Benavidez the way he did Kavaliauskas when he knocked him down. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get that feeling. But Amir Khan, we expected Amir Khan to come out the way he did at the Barclays. I mean, he was getting worked over. Terrence Crawford was shining that night. His skill set was on the bezel. Most of his punches, man, whenever he wanted to throw them, was landing. And he's been dropped before, Amir Khan. So it is what it is. But that's about this. That's about it with these particular fight cards this fight week, people. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Continue to support World Combat Sports. And I will be back on here later on in the week. Of course, to talk about the fight that's coming up, and the behind the scenes of Conor McGregor's camp and him stepping in there with the highly touted veteran Donald Cowboy Cerrone, a man that has over freaking 50 plus MMA fights. So y'all be sure to share the content, tune in. Until next time, turn up and tune in. Salute from World Combat Sports.